So today, I'll be answering credit card questions from you, the community. And in this video, I go over what I think are the top 3 credit cards right now, the best business credit card strategies for high spending, my predictions for the recently discontinued Amex Cash Magnet, Amex Everyday, and Everyday Preferred cards, and how I manage my 2-player credit card strategy. There's a lot of great insights in these questions and answers, so definitely pay attention because there's going to be some great takeaways that could certainly help you with your own credit card strategy. And so with that being said, there's a lot to cover. So let's just jump right in. We go to our first section here. There's a lot of hodgepodge questions. There wasn't really a unified theme I could put all the questions. So we're going to go through them step by step, but the questions were pretty good, and we're going to go ahead and make sure that we cover them in vivid detail. So the first question is from Connor H, who was here but had to leave, and so he'll watch a live stream on demand. He asked, what do you think are the top 3 best credit cards of all time? They could have gotten nerfed or discontinued or still be active. And so when someone tells me what are the 3 best credit cards, it's always it's hard to really say because my 3 best credit cards is going to be different from someone else's 3 best credit cards. And so it has to be kind of clarified what the best credit cards is talking about. And so for me, I use basically the definition that it's the best value for the annual fee that you're paying. There's going to be some discussion about that, and some people prefer point currency cards, some people prefer cashback credit cards. But in my mind, I kind of look at all the benefits, the annual fee, and which one do I think is the best, for each one. And so obviously no annual fee credit cards are typically not included because they can't typically be the best unless they're really good. The City Custom Cash is one of those that comes to mind, but that one I would believe is more of a top 5 card. So let's go into the third card, which I think a lot of people would probably agree with me on, and that's going to be the City Prestige. I think we're all looking forward for the City Star Elite card to come out and to see what that looks like, because the Prestige card was quite a powerful card. It had a $4.95 annual fee, discontinued about 3 years ago. It had 5x on restaurants, airlines, and travel agencies, which I don't know what that is, but maybe it's clarified somewhere. I didn't look into it that much. 3x hotel and cruise lines, and 1x and everything else. The thing that was really making this card really nice is you got this 4th night free benefit when you booked on City Travel, and you had a four nights on that hotel stay. That 4th night would have been free. And so that's a really cool way to get some value out of this card if you book a really luxurious or costly stay that may have been something that you got a lot of value from. You also have a $250 travel credit, which I believe had included airline tickets too. So that's pretty nice. And so that drops that effective annual fee down to about $245, which is quite nice. They had Party Pass membership as well. I forgot if it had at that time restaurants too, but I'm pretty sure it did because most of them did at that time. So that was pretty awesome. And also they had a cell phone protection as well as a TSA and global entry credit. And so that is something that is really cool to see with that card. So hopefully when they make the Strata Elite card, it'll be something that's more like this card and nothing that's being nerfed, for example. The second card I want to talk about is the Amex Hilton Aspire. That's my second card. I think this card continues to be the best hotel credit card out there. I don't typically spend a lot of time in Hilton's, although I do occasionally. You get 34 times points at Hilton because of the 10x base, 10x Elite with Diamond Elite, as well as the 14x on the card itself. So it's a plenty of Hilton points when you stay there. 7x on flights, car rentals, and restaurants, and 3x on everything else for an annual fee of $550. And also you have all those benefits on the bottom that really help to bring down that annual fee a lot, which is good. It is a little annoying because they made the credit semi-annual. There's a $50 quarterly credit. There's an annual clear credit. There's all this stuff on there that, it's not bad if you have just this card, but if you combine it with the gold, the platinum, it can get a little overwhelming. And so I would just keep in mind about that. And also the resort credit can only be used as a Hilton resort, not a Hilton in general. So you have to be careful about using that credit as well. And the Surpass card where it's just a Hilton credit. I have Cesar Joel putting in his 2 cents saying his loves the Hilton Aspire. He's not a big fan of Hilton. So I'm glad that you love this card. And this card is my number 2 pick. And so if that's my number 2 pick, can anyone guess what my number 1 pick is going to be? Here's a hint. It was on the thumbnail of this video. And that card for me is going to be the US Bank Altitude Reserve. And I know it's not for everybody because not a lot of people like cash back and they want their transferable currencies. They want to have points and stuff and transfer or whatever. I think after using this card for a year, this has been my fallback card in every and all situations to get the best amount of value in the easiest one card setup. There is no card that can even compete with this card at all at this point in time about how good it is, assuming you can use Apple Pay or Google Pay or Samsung Pay. If you can do that, this card is amazing. The travel credit is the most generous out of any travel credit that I've had seen. Travel and dining, by the way. And I used it recently because my card renewed over the course of the year. So I had a new 325 travel and dining credit. You can actually use Apple Pay on your dining, like Apple Pay food establishment, and then that still will count as a restaurant dining credit, even though it's an quote a mobile wallet credit. It still recognizes the mobile wallet is through a restaurant, and the credit gets applied to that. And then you also get the points for the 3x on the dining as well, in addition to the credit. So it's just like an amazing like stack on stack on stack for bonuses. And 325 dining and travel, you're going to do that if you're spending $400 annual fee. It really is a $75 annual fee card. And if you compare it to the 2% cards, like you can spend, I think it's like, I want to say 3,000 or something around that line over the year to get your value back. And anything after that is just going to be pure profit. And so love this card. Number one, I think it's really the great one. Francisco says that, yes, he knew Altitude Reserve. Juan Garcia is also on the Hilton Aspire train too. It's a great card. I mean, I don't have it, but I want to get it eventually. I think it's more of a card 2 years down the line for me. I get a Surpass next year and then Aspire probably the year after that. So I'm not in a rush to get that card, but I will admit it is a very, very powerful card, much more than any of the other cards like the Hyatts or the Marriott's or the IHGs. Like it is just a solid one. I think you get credits on the 325 redemption, so it's less. Yes, I was just talking about that. So you definitely will get credits on the 325. So that's really, really cool too. So let's keep on going to the next question, which is also from Connor. Connor says, what do you think my everyday spend card should be? I have the Amex Platinum Gold Business plus, Amex Platinum Gold Business plus Aspire, CSP, and Bonvoy Boundless. I own an online shoe store, so I spend a lot of money at retail stores. I like the BBP, but the 2x cap is too low. I was thinking about the US bar, but I would rather have a card with transfer partners. So this is what he's saying. This is the setup that he has. He has Platinum, Business Gold, Aspire, CSP, and Boundless. So you have a setup where you don't really have like a good catch-all card for the card you're looking for. And so if you look at the next slide, look at those conditions for that new card. You're looking for retail shopping. I think because you're having a lot of spend on the card, you're looking for a business type of card, so you don't have that on your personal report. You think the BBP cap of $50,000 is too low, so you want a higher cap than that. And you also said you wanted transfer partners on that card too. So the way I looked at it, there were 3 options you can choose from. I think they get increasingly better as you go up. So the first thing is called endless BBPs. And basically what that means is you're going to take a BBP and you get another one and another one. So now you, instead of having a 50K cap, you have a 150K cap. And yes, you can get multiple BBPs at the same business, but that will take up slots for American Express cards. So I don't know if that's something you want to do, but if the cap is the problem, just get multiple BBPs. All right. The second one, the strategy is going to be called go big or go home. So if you're putting a ton of spend, like 250K plus a year on the card, yes, it's better to get a BBP to get 2x points back on it, but maybe you want to go for that big bad Centurion card. I mean, not many people have that opportunity if they're not doing business spend. And so if you're doing a lot of cards, just take whatever card you have. I think you have the business gold card, and that's going to get 1x, so not great, but you will have the opportunity to go ahead to the Centurion card as well. And so let's move on to the next strategy. And that strategy, I think, is the best one. And that's going to be strategy number 3, which is simplicity is best. And so I like this one a lot because the Capital One Venture X business is actually a really good card for this situation, because you get a really nice welcome offer, which is 150K miles for $30,000 to spend in 3 months. So certainly a lot of money, but if you're doing business spend, probably going to be very doable. You get unlimited 2x miles as well, and you get a $395 annual fee for that card. And Jason Law is here saying, and for the second strategy, fairly sure that Amex Business Centurion needs 1 million plus per year to be invited. Probably. I did not know that, so I haven't looked into it because I would never get this card myself, so I haven't really looked into it that much. I know you had to spend a lot of money on it. I thought it was 250K a year. Maybe that was many, many years ago. But if you're the point is, if you're putting a lot of spend on your card and you're having a problem with it, you can go big or go home if you want to go for the Centurion card. But there's that. Not something that people can do very often, but definitely something to think about. And then strategy number 3 is again, the Capital Inventor X business. So I think this would be probably the next best card for you. You answer all the questions. You got a business card with no cap, good catch-all category for retail shopping, and it's got a good annual fee with transfer partners. So you've got all those things covered. I would recommend that card for you in your situation, Connor, and hopefully you're able to get that card. The next one is from Mr. Dalton, who has commented a lot on these live streams. So I really appreciate Dalton for the question. Do you think Amex will release new product offerings to replace Cash Magnet, Everyday, and Everyday Preferred, or just refreshes for them? And so, just to kind of go back to that, a little while ago, I believe I saw Joe Barretto's live at the time when he announced, or he saw that these cards were now missing from the lineup on the website. Essentially, they pulled these cards without much notice or fanfare. The Cash Magnet, Everyday, and Everyday Preferred cards, just you can no longer apply for them. You no longer exist anymore. And so this is basically what they used to look like. Okay. They were not very strong cards, in my opinion. What you'll notice, though, about these 3 cards is that they all have no annual fee or low annual fee. So I think MX is trying to shift away from these types of cards in favor of putting in higher annual fee cards that get you value. I think that's where they're going for, because that's where their target audience is. I think I saw on Reddit the other day that there was some news article saying that the whatever is the CEO or whoever was saying that their marketing strategy is working. They're getting a lot of Gen Z and millennial signups or something like that. They're getting a lot of signups in their target market with their new changes, and I think that that's great for them. And so I think they're encouraged by what they're doing. So they're seeing rising annual fees, more statement credits, more people adding to their cards. They did say they are losing people in the Gen X, like the boomers generation, because we're smarter than that. Not to say that, both of you don't, those of you who are Gen X and, are Gen Z and millennial aren't. It's just saying that we understand that sometimes doing all these credits is not the best use of your time. And that's to say also that those of you who are Gen Z and millennial have a lot of time to do these types of things. And when you get older, sometimes time becomes more valuable than kind of finagling with, what was it, like 38 credits on the Amex Gold card at this point. So there's that. That's kind of what I would say for these cards and what they're doing. So in response to the question about if they're going to refresh it or not, I think that there's going to be no replacements to these cards in particular, because to be straight up honest, those cards basically sucked. The only card that was really somewhat decent was a Everyday Preferred. If you use the card 30 times, you could get 4.5x MR points on your grocery shopping. But that was about it. But you had to use the card 30 times. And so I don't really know unless you put 30 bananas on the checkout counters 30 times. Who wants to do that every month? Not me. So if you wanted to, you could. That was fine. But that's how I would see that going forward. I think that their current lineup cannibalized the cards. So you had the Blue Business Plus, which is the best card for no annual fee. And it's why would you use any of the other cards, right? Because it gets more MR points for less work, no annual fee. Right. And it's better than the 1.5% cash magnet card, which is totally useless, because even that 1.5% is a statement credit. It's not even a direct deposit. So it's really one of those things. I mentioned already, Amex likes annual fees with credit, so that they're going to continue to do that. So if that's your jive, then you should be happy with that. If it's not your jive, like myself, then you should probably move away from that. And so that's what I'm doing. It's just one of those things where you look for what's going to happen and then kind of go from there. The next question comes from Mr. Andrew B. PDX Beach says, be interested to hear your player 1 and player 2 strategy to stay engaged. My player 2 freaks at my velocity. So here's the thing about player 1, player 2, and those strategies. So there's always going to be, I wouldn't say always, but there's going to be a situation where maybe some person in the player 1, player 2 grouping cares more about the credit cards than the player 2 does, right? And so that's kind of where you have to figure out how to balance that. I think in the sense that for myself, when we look at communication, so my wife is my player too, it's all about communication. And so what does she want? What does she care about? The nice thing is that, when we talk about things, that she lets me lead with the credit card strategy. So she doesn't really get involved in it. She doesn't say, oh, what about this card or this card? She just lets me lead, and she kind of trusts my judgment in what we're doing with our strategy. And I always tell her, hey, I think this would be a good card for you, or I applied for this card. And that's kind of like what I do, when we talk about these things. The second thing is that she's also okay with just knowing the basics about credit cards. Like she knows, if it's a 5% card or like a 3% card, but she's not going to be like, well, this party pass has restaurant access, does not have restaurant access. This card, can be used here, but not here. Like one of those things are not really important to her. She just wants to know, like, what are the main cards to use. And I think that's how we really make that dialogue happen. And what's nice is that if you show your player two, like I show my player two, if you can enjoy the benefits like business class flights, nice hotel stays and lounges, like they're going to be more apt to follow you in terms of your credit card strategy. I know Uncle Luke says this a lot too, that, when he's asked about that with him and his wife, he's the same way. He's saying, I take her to these really nice hotels and business class seats, and then she's all on board about what's going on. And so I think that's a really true statement. And so I also agree with Uncle Luke on that when we discuss these things. Specifically, though, the reason why it works out, because I have a very simple core credit card setup. Like I would not subject my player to, or my wife to, like a 7 to 10 credit card setup if I want to do a 5% cash back on everything. It's a lot to handle even for myself. And so I don't want to make it too complicated, right? And so because I have that, I don't even have to tell her what the modifiers are on the card. I just say, this card, the reserve, is a mobile wallet. By the way, she doesn't even have the card. She has it on her phone, basically. So it's just mobile wallet. I say, here's the black Bank of America card. That's for everything else. So if you can't do mobile wallet, use the black card for everything else. But if you're shopping online, use the red card. So I say black card, red card, and then use your phone card. That's really what I do. Another thing that I want to point out too is that, when it comes to welcome offers, we all know here in this chat that we all look for the best elevated welcome offers, period, right? And we kind of get the best what we can to the best welcome offer, like the minimum requirement that we can. And so basically I say, because she lets me lead with that, I just say, hey, we have this Hilton Surpass card I just got for the welcome offer. We are like, okay, what is it? It's 165,000 Hilton bonus points for 3,000 spend in the first 6 months. Like, I don't really say that to her. I just said, here's a card, spend only on this card. And then she does it, and it's fine, right? So that's to make it simple and easy. I think showing it as an easy process for your player too, and then also showing the benefits of what those processes can do for her and you, I think is going to be a great thing. I say her, but it could be him or her. I'm not sure what the player two is like for you, but I want to just make sure that you understand that it's all about communication. It's all about showing them how those points and how those cashback things you get can really affect your life financially in a very positive way.